So he is the dusty dude that's never been married except for Faith Evans and has 6 baby mamas.
6?
6. Yes, he has 6 baby mamas. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Pattie's Perspective, where I break down crazy shit that has happened in pop culture. And I talk about, what's going on, why it's wrong, and just my perspective on it. I am here with my sidekick, Jordan. Hey, Jordan.
Hello, hello. Very exciting episode today.
Yeah, I can't wait because this is something that is so near and dear to my heart. And this is prenups. All right. So many people that have a lot of assets don't even think to sign a prenup. Right. And I've always said that you should sign a prenup if you have assets. If you don't, it's a huge mistake. I've made, tons of videos on this. But what really made me think about it and want to talk about it today is the Faith Evans and Stevie J situation. Have you heard of this?
I have, but refresh my memory, please.
Okay. They were married in 2018 and they filed for divorce in 2021. So about 3 years. All right. And they didn't have a prenup. Now, what is happening is that they're saying, and again, none of this has been confirmed fully, but they're saying that she's going to be paying spousal support to this dude for $30,000 a month, or it could even be just say a lump sum of $1 million. Okay, so she's going to be paying him. And let's kind of talk about these people's resumes and why it's so important to sign prenups, because you could end up like Faith. So, Faith has sold over 20 million records worldwide. She's received several awards and nominations, and she has a Grammy Award for the best rap performance by a duo, right? She has her own record label, and this is her 3rd marriage. Now, Stevie J, he is a Grammy Award-winning producer, and he was on Love and Hip Hop. Do you remember this dude on Love and Hip Hop?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I made a lot of mistakes in our relationship, I've been you all your whole life.
And you haven't?
Nah, I gave you the best thing
and
you
you
ever
haven't?
could have had. You better be grateful. You know what I'm saying?
I better be grateful.
Yeah,
You disgust
But I gave you a
me.
kid when everybody else just tossed you on the wayside.
You gave me a kid. You sound ridiculous.
Yeah.
Can you please go?
So he is the dusty dude that's never been married except for Faith Evans and has 6 baby mamas.
6?
6. Yes. He has 6 baby mamas. So when Faith married him, I was just like, have you seen this dude on TV? Like, do you not know anything about this guy? I mean, what was your perception on Love and Hip Hop when it came to him?
I mean, I feel like my perception of everyone on Love and Hip Hop is everybody's a mess. So,
yeah. That's the whole point.
Yeah, to be fair, everybody on there is a mess. But for Stevie, he is a very accomplished producer, and I'll give him credit there. But he's never come off as a reasonable person in any sort of romantic capacity at all.
Yeah, and you marry this dude without a prenup and thinking that it's going to last forever. And I always say that no one goes into a marriage thinking it's going to end. Everyone thinks, I'm getting married to this person and it's going to be forever. No one gets married thinking they're going to get a divorce, right?
Correct.
And that's why prenups are so freaking important. And this dude, he actually filed divorce on her. So he's the one that filed for divorce. And then I remember he goes on Instagram after filing a divorce and says this. I'm going to read it verbatim. He goes, Faith Renee Jordan, I've hurt you, disrespected you, and humiliated you in front of the world.
What?
From this day forward, I promise to listen to your feelings and be more delicate with your heart. I also promise to build you up even more and to communicate daily with you, respect you, and love you until you're as happy as you were when we got married. That didn't get her back. Okay. I mean, this is what a shit show this guy is. I mean, you have a job, you're a producer. Why are you asking for spousal support after 3 years of marriage?
Yes. Okay.
You know what I mean?
I know that sometimes men will use this as like a gotcha of feminism or whatever they think it is, where they're like, oh, well, women wanted to work and make their own money, and now when you get a divorce, you have to pay him and blah, 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 blah. And the thing about spousal support, if a woman is out of the workforce for 20 years raising your children and, being a housewife, and then you get a divorce, she doesn't have the means to make money on her own, which is why spousal support was given. Right. In this sort of scenario, he has the skills to work, first of all. It's not like
Right.
they had to raise a bunch of children together.
Right.
And he had to be a stay-at-home dad. And 2, it was 3 years.
If you are someone, whether a man or a woman, and you can take care of yourself, okay, and you can earn a living and you have money, why ask for spousal support? Right? I mean, that is, like you were saying, that's just such a gotcha. And for this dusty dude to ask for spousal support after 3 years of this extent, it's like, you know what? Go back to producing.
Right.
What the hell is wrong with you? You know, after 3 years, I mean, how the hell do you even deserve spousal support? $30,000 a month. What contributions have you made to this relationship in 3 years for you to say that you deserve spousal support of that amount? Get a damn job. Go produce. And I would be saying this if it were a man or a woman, right? I don't think anyone should be getting spousal support unless they really need it. Support is part of the words, right? So unless you need spousal support and you actually need it to support yourself, I just think it's complete and utter nonsense. And this dude is a dusty ass dude. But, you know, Faith is not the only one that has really made the huge mistake of not having a prenup. I just want to go down a list of few people. So Paul McCartney, when he married Heather Mills, they didn't have a prenup. She walked away with $48.7 million, $50 million almost. Yeah. Kelsey and Camille Grammer, she got $30 million. They had $60 million in assets. Now listen to this. J-Lo and Chris Judd, how long were they married?
Something very short.
A year and a half, something like that. He got $14 million from her. 14 million, right? And it's really funny because I ran into Chris Judd a few years ago. Like we were at a restaurant, we were waiting for our cars, and he was happy as a damn clam. And I would be like, I'd be happy too if I got $14 million. She's the one that made him head choreographer. She's the one that gave him so many opportunities to work. And it's because of her that he gained the ability to do so much more work. And now you're going to get $14 million out of her? I think that prenups are so necessary in marriages. And you guys cannot be shy in asking for prenups. And here are why prenups are important. So not only do they protect your assets, but they protect the assets of your children. Okay? So let's say that you have a business and you have a lot of money, or you have property, or you have other assets, whatever it may be. If you don't sign a prenup, once you get a divorce, that person may be entitled to your assets. And that means that your children are going to be screwed because they're not getting the assets that they should be getting. Okay? So you need to have a damn prenup. I don't care if you are 110% sure you're going to spend the rest of your life with someone. You need a prenup to protect your assets, because at the end of the day, not only are you going to get screwed, but so are your kids. Actually, this happened to a friend of mine. She married this dusty dude. Oh my God, he was always so lazy. And she married him and she was working. And he's like, you know, I really need a mental break. I need a mental break. Can I not work for a few months? She's like, okay. So when you don't work, that means that when you're not making money, that decreases your income potential. So once you get a divorce, they look at your income potential and how much you've made. This dude wasn't working, and then he refused to get a job.
Oh my God.
And then she divorced him, and then she had to pay him spousal support because his earning potential and his earnings were $0.
That's
so
crazy.
He was sitting at home taking a nap at 3 p.m. every single day, right? Eating Cheetos on the couch. And now that she's divorcing his house, she has to pay him. And I told her to do a prenup, to sign a prenup. Oh, no, we don't need a prenup. He's not going to want anything of mine. I'm not going to want anything of hers. Guess what?
Oh my God.
And one thing that can be in a prenup that happens all the time is a clause about being unfaithful. You could put a clause in there that if your significant other cheats on you, then you get X amount of dollars. And that's actually what's happening right now with Jeannie Mai and
Jeezy.
That is her husband who she just filed for divorce. Do you know anything about them, Jordan?
I very vaguely, I've heard about it here and there, but I didn't really know any of the specifics.
So Jeannie Mai, you know, she was on, I believe it wasn't The Talk, it was, The Real. The Real. She was on The Real, and her husband,
Jeezy.
you know, he's a producer and a musician, and they recently filed for divorce. And actually, I wasn't surprised at all. And let me tell you why I wasn't surprised before I get into the cheating scandal, is that I remember she was talking about him and their first date. And she was talking about how on their first date, at the end of the first date, like they ended up closing down the restaurant. They were together for like 6 hours, the best first date ever. And she said that she said that after the first date, you know, she was like, oh, is he going to kiss me? And he didn't, but he looked at her and he said, I want you to go home and I want you to write down what your business plan is for our lives.
He looks at me, he goes, can I give you a homework assignment? I want you to think about the last 8 hours we just spent together. And think about, what do you envision us doing together? What do you picture me being in your life? If this matches my notes, I will pursue you.
And everyone swooned like, oh my God, this is so... And I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, we just had a first date, dude. How the hell am I supposed to have a proposal to you as to the rest of our lives or how I want shit to go? I don't even know if I want to see you again, right? But she didn't see that. She thought that that's a really great idea and it was so romantic. What that told me about him is his level of control. Mm-hmm. That's extremely controlling behavior. Okay, so when someone is that intense in the beginning...
Honestly, that sounds insane to me. If I was on a first date and at the end of the first date, the dude was like, I'm going to give you some homework, I'd be like, no, you won't be giving me homework.
Exactly. I'm like, you know what? I have your homework right here. We won't be seeing each other again. Okay. I mean, that was a huge, huge red flag. But we women take it as, you know, oh, it's so romantic. And then another thing she said is that she said, you know, in my relationship with him, I'm ready to submit. And she said that over and over again, that she, you know, her mom, she talked about how her mom was a strong woman in the relationship and she doesn't want that. And she's ready to submit to her man. Here's why it's not going to last. She is not a person that submits. She was a businesswoman. She really worked her way up. I mean, she was in fashion. She really worked her way up and she had to do a lot to get to where she is. Now you want this woman that's a hustler, right? That's like worked her ass off to get to where she is to submit to some dude. Now you may think you want to submit, right? But when it actually happens, you're like, yeah, no, this isn't it.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, there's constantly this messaging of like, oh, women need to submit to blah, 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 whatever. And, you know, I think that in a lot of relationships, it's very common for maybe one person to be a more active decision maker. And then maybe for one person to be more passive if they don't necessarily care. And in those kinds of cases, if it's like, you know, where we're going to eat for dinner, sure, that's fine. But when people are, when men specifically are like, oh, women need to submit when it comes to our livelihood, no, that's not happening.
No, exactly. And I really, you know what, we can make a whole episode about this and maybe next week we can talk more about this because I just had a conversation with Joel's friend the other night who thinks that the man should be the head of the house. Okay, so, and as soon as he brought it up, Joel's face was like, "Oh man, you do not want to go there." But I think let's talk next week about this whole submission thing because I think it's really, really important that we dig right into it. But in their prenup,
Jeezy
and Jenny had a clause that said that, yeah, if you cheat on me, I get X amount of dollars, and she's claiming that he cheated on her. So I don't know if it's true. It hasn't been proven, anything like that, but it's getting really messy in this relationship, okay? And he's going around talking about, you know, he wrote a book, and what I don't like about him is, you know, the guy that tells you you have some homework, that's not only a controlling guy, but a very self-righteous guy, right? He thinks that he knows everything. He thinks that he is just, you know, the man, and he's just, and I've heard him on, I think it was Tamron Hall and other talk shows, just the way he talks, it just really bothers the shit out of me. And it's really unfortunate that Jeannie fell for that shit because he's not the right one. And I knew immediately that he wasn't the right one. Yeah, so I think we could just end the conversation here about prenups. If you are out there and if you have any assets, before getting married, sign a damn prenup. Now, let's just say that if you don't have a prenup now, okay, it's not too late. You can do what's called a postnup. And that is a legal document where you have a lawyer draw up that if we were to get a divorce, this is how we are going to allocate the assets. And the reason prenups and postnups are so important is because you want to have a say-so on how the assets get allocated instead of putting it in the hands of a judge. You don't know who this judge is going to be. You have no idea what type of day they're having. You don't know anything, right? So this judge could favor the man or the woman or whatever. Why leave that up to someone that you don't know? Just draw up a prenup, be mature. If someone does not want to sign a prenup, that is it. You do not get married. There was a basketball player who, I forget his name, gosh, maybe it was Steven Jackson, who was going to get married, and his fiance kept saying, yeah, I'll sign a prenup. She never did, and he never showed up to the wedding. He literally did not show up to the wedding. And that is the way, that's the way you do it. He's like, I told you, I will not get married. If we don't have a prenup, you didn't sign one, we're done. Don't be afraid that you're going to lose the other person if you ask for a prenup, because if they're not going to marry you because you're asking for a prenup, that is not the right person for you. All right. We'll just leave it at that. You guys, thank you for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Next week, like we promised, we're going to be breaking down this whole should a woman submit to a man. I'm going to talk to you guys about the conversation that I had with my fiance's friend, how that went, and we'll dig into that. Thank you so much for listening.